that you told us how to say your name before, but I forget. Is it what? Aydra? Am I saying? I'm probably saying it wrong. But welcome.
It's Yadira.
Yadira, I'm sorry. I know you told us before.
No, that's all right.
Good to see you again. Hi.
Good to see you too.
Hey, Rachel. Hi, Christopher. Welcome, you guys. Yadira.
Yes.
I just want to try and get it in there, you know. And it looks like Marie. Hello. That's a pretty picture.
Hi. How are you?
Hi, Ketcha.
Hi, MJ. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun. All right. Well, it's 1:31. We'll get officially started. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks so much. And I'm Sherry Reichert-Ballou, and I'm author of Say It Now, which is 33 creative ways to say I love you to the most important people in your life. And I welcome you. Today we have MJ. Give us a wave, MJ.
Hi.
And Alan, who will be introducing themselves. Alan, you're so great. Who will be introducing themselves in just 1 minute. I love that, Alan. It's awesome. I know some of you have been with us before, but just in case you haven't, we've been doing these weekly author panels ever since the pandemic started. And it was a way that Brenda and I decided we really wanted to bring some of the great wisdom and heart from so many of the Mango publishing authors, and to be able to have a place where we could bring that and offer some compassion and a place just to, I always think of it as kind of a safe landing place on Wednesdays. And Alan and MJ and Liz Marie and I were just talking a little bit before the rest of you joined us that of course the world has changed drastically once again, you know, just over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And so, you know, we're inviting in any of that discussion as well. I mean, there's just, obviously, there's so much unrest happening, so much violence and injustice that we're all sort of trying to hold right now. And we wanted to just acknowledge that. And also, of course, that in the, you know, in the midst of that, there are still so many people who are grieving, you know, all kinds of other losses. So we're just having, it feels to me, and, you know, we'll be interested to hear, but just that there's layers right now of grief and loss and fear and anger going on. So I'm so glad that we have MJ and Alan here to help us out with all of this. And to get started, we'll just have, MJ, I'll start with you if you wouldn't mind, and just to have you introduce yourself, tell us where you live. I know you've got a couple books that you brought with you, just to tell us a little bit about your books, and then also maybe just tell us, how are you taking care of yourself right now during all of this?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. My name is MJ Fievre. I'm originally from Haiti, grew up there, moved to the United States when I was 21. The first part of my career started in French and Haitian Creole. When I moved to Miami, I started writing in English. I lived in Bolivia for a little while, so I tried myself. I tried writing in Spanish and had a few pieces published in Spanish while I was there. So writing has always been the constant in my life. And my two recent books are Happy Okay. It's a book about depression, so a collection of poems about anxiety, depression, hope, and survival. Here.
Ooh. Can you wait? Yeah, can you hold it just a little tad closer? So wait, that's
Sure.
beautiful. Ah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
And the second book that I published this year is Badass Black Girl, which is a journal for young Black girls with quotes and questions and affirmations for just self-empowerment. I was a teacher for 8 years, and I was in charge of different clubs at the school, and I got to interact with a lot of kids who were part of different minorities, having those very powerful conversations. So this book was really important to me because it's basically the book I wish I could have handed to them back then when we were having those very difficult conversations about being a Black body in a world that doesn't necessarily appreciate our contribution to it. So yeah, those are my two books. And I think you asked me how I'm coping right now with everything going on.
Yeah, how are you taking care of yourself?
So at first there was the pandemic and everything it brought, and then all those protests, some of them turning into riots. It's been tough. So it got me really thinking about how to take care of ourselves. One thing I will say is that it depends on the day. There's no formula that I can just use every day because
Wait,
every
man,
day is
I'm sorry, can I have you hold for 1 second?
sure.
I just wanted to invite everyone to please mute if you've got, I think someone might have some sounds coming. I'm sorry, I was just having a hard time hearing MJ. Okay, thanks MJ, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So yes, just taking it one day at a time. Every day is a new day, and it might requires attention to a specific part of your life. What I've learned is that in keeping a schedule, keeping a routine is really, really important. It's been keeping me grounded. So whatever is going on in the outside world, I can always go back and center myself because I know at 9 o'clock I have this meeting. At 11, I need to do this. At 12, I need to do this. So keeping a schedule and sometimes taking breaks from the news, those two habits have really helped in terms of really feeling like I'm able to deal with what's going on right now.
Well, I love that. You know, two really good tools, right? I mean, I agree with you about the schedule, that it helps us sort of stay, you know, we can stay sort of grounded. And then your other one was sort of watching, you know, how much you're consuming the news, right? Like another, yeah, really beautiful practice. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to hearing about both of your books. So hopefully when we come back around, we can hear some more about your books. But
Absolutely.
thank you. Alan, you want to just say hi and tell us about yourself and your books?
Sure, love to. So I have a number of books published by Mango. One of the more recent is the Lighten Up Book. And that basically has, as it says in the subtitle, Affirmations and Insights to Inspire Health and Happiness. So I'm a big believer in positive words. And in fact, my office has several quotations around. I think when we're down, and this might be a tip for people who are listening, have something around that will lift you up. So whether it's a photo or a quote or, you know, a picture, a cartoon, whatever it is, something that you can look at when you're not doing too well, and that will lift you up. So one of the things I have is a photo of my daughter when she was a teenager, and she had a cream pie thrown in her face. And it's something she wanted for years. She wanted to have a cream pie thrown in her face. And I waited till she got off the camp bus, and there were like 40 other kids around from the bus.
Oh.
And look at the joy in that face. It's just like, you know, when I'm down, I look at that and I cannot help but being lifted up. So that's one of the things that helps me, is having things around, memories around, to lift me up and remember those great times.
Yeah.
Another photo I just realized, I was looking at my bulletin board that I have, is years ago, several years ago, I wanted to march in the Macy Day Thanksgiving Parade. And that's a whole long story. I won't tell you now, but I got to do it. And so this is me with my brother, who also wanted to march. in the dressing room getting into our costume.
Oh, Alan,
Can you
that's
see
so
that?
fun.
Yeah. So that was just and actually this will lead into the other thing that I've been doing to help me through this difficult time. In the parade, we were not in a flow, we were on the ground, and we were asked to greet people along the viewing stands. So I would go up and there'd be some older person in a wheelchair and I'd say, happy Thanksgiving. They just lit up, just
Oh,
the kids, we'd go over and the kids would be like, oh, somebody from the parade, you must be famous, and shake
oh,
their hand or give them a high five, happy Thanksgiving. And it was a freezing day. It was cold. It was a long, waiting outside since 7:30 in the morning. But once it got going, at the end of the parade, I realized I did not need a ride home. I was like floating, floating in the air. It was one of the highlights of my life. It was just incredible. I was just ecstatic at greeting so many joyous people at that time. So one of the things I do now is I reach out to people. When I'm not feeling so great, I reach out to other people and they lift me up. So this morning I realized I have a Black friend in New York City and she doesn't do well on the telephone. And so I thought, and she sends a lot of greeting cards. She likes doing that. So I thought, I'm just going to send her a greeting card today and tell her how much I love her and how much this must be a difficult time for her. And then I'm just saying prayers for her and sending my love and just letting know, I'm here if she wants to contact me. So, but just me reaching out to someone else helped me start my day today. So that's just a simple tip for people. So again, some of my other books, again, for positiveness, positive thoughts for troubling times. And there's just wonderful sayings, quotations, affirmations for people to lighten up or have something to encourage them. And this is one of my favorite books and really appropriate for these times is Embracing Life After Loss. And I won't go into detail now, but I got into the humor and happiness field after my wife died of a rare liver disease at the age of 34, and she had a great sense of humor. And so that helped me cope, and I written about it, speak a lot to hospices. But this is it's called A Gentle Guide for Growing Through Grief. And I say gentle guide because when I was grieving, I would read all these grieving books, and they were like 200-300 pages, and they would tell me all about the terrible things I'm going to be going through, and probably can't sleep and can't eat. I'm going to be depressed. And I thought, if I'm grieving, do I really need a book like that? I
yeah.
need a book that lifts me up, a book that's easy to read, a book that's encouraging, inspiring. And I couldn't find any. And so that's when I wrote Embracing Life After Loss. And although it's aimed at like physical loss, it's also about any loss that we're feeling now, loss from divorce, any kind of loss. There's, I think, things in there that are very simple, but ideas that could help people get through that loss. So that's me. And in 25 or more words.
Oh, I'm struck right now after just listening to both of you introduce yourselves that it always feels to me like something sort of magical happens with these panels, like just the right people at the right time. And I am just feeling today like, wow, we have two perfect people here for where we are in this moment of time, to really talk about some of these deeper issues that are going on, but also to do it like I feel like both of you are bringing just such a beautiful energy of who you are you know, that is sort of wrapped up in all of it. And to me, that's a big piece of it. And I'm so grateful to both of you for that.
Thank you.
And yeah, really, I mean it. I mean it. And well, let's go back, MJ. Let's talk a little bit about, do you have a sense of which book you feel like you want to share something first?
Sure. Actually, I was thinking about it, and I have two poems, not from Happy Okay, but two separate poems that I wrote 2 years ago. And I was thinking this morning about how appropriate they were right now to what's going on. One of them I wrote after Philando Castile was killed. I don't know if you know about him. He was a cafeteria worker at a school. He was unarmed in his car about 2 years ago, and he was killed by a police officer who think that he was who thought he was reaching out for his gun when he was really reaching out for his cell phone. And his fiance is the one who recorded the whole incident. And I just think that it's a little sad that this poem would be applicable to what's going on today with the brutality, and is also part of the reason we're marching. And a lot of people are reminding us that we should not forget those names. Yes, everybody know about Floyd now because it's more recent, but there are so many names that should remain in history as victims of the police violence that exists today. We've been talking about the kind of stress that we undergo with everything, with the pandemic, but also the news and the protest. And I would love to be able to share one of those poems with you. It's dated from last year, actually, 2019.
Please, yeah.
So should I go ahead and share?
Yes, please, MJ.
And I will share my screen if you don't mind, Sherry, if you will let me share my screen, just because I know that I have a little bit of an accent and I don't want the poem to be lost in it.
Liz Marie, would you be able to give her access to that? Because I know we turned off screen sharing.
Is there a way to do it for one participant?
You can. I think you can just do it. I trust this group here. I don't know. Looking around, I don't think anyone's going to take over from MJ. Promise, everybody. All right. Yeah, you could just allow screen sharing.
Yeah.
And MJ, thank you for thinking ahead to bring us something.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So the name of the poem is #Philando and #Alton. When I was writing it, those were the two names that were really being spoken about because those incidents had just happened. I think of gunshots, of chokeholds, of knife marks on black breasts and black stomachs, on black hands and black cows, of deathbeds, of breathing labored and inconsistent, of eyes soft and blink, of bodies black and limp. #Eric, #Laquan, #Mike, #Sandra, #Rukia. I fear your names have been reduced to whispers and imperfect remembrance. Shame on us. #we forget the fear, anger, disgust, and violence. #Black Lives Matter. It's an awful big sky out there, big enough for all of us, but I cannot not think of barrels, of loaded shells, of pellets, of fingers feeling for triggers, of kill shots. #Philando, #Alton, #2016 America, #know their names, #2019 America, #remember their names, I think of sweaty palms, of wild rapids of thought rushing between shots, of the broken smell of gunpowder. Today, America still drinks blood and shrugs and grins and spits and turns away as the shots echo and echo. It's an awful big sky out there, big enough for all of us, but I cannot not think that I am black, black breast and black stomach, black hands and black cows. And the second one that I have talks about the messages we get from the news and sometimes the experience that we have, because I have a lot of friends who are police officers, and my husband has a lot of friends who are police officers. And sometimes it's about remembering that it's the system that needs change, that some of those people are good people, and that not all cops are bad cops. And we're actually living in fear right now for the safety of some of our friends, because some people are really angry and just see all cops as being bad. So this one I wrote maybe 3 years ago. And again, it's so interesting that those poems apply for such a long period of time because things haven't changed. But it's titled Good Cop, Bad Cop. And obviously one of the ways I've been coping with all this is by writing, not only back then, but even now. And it's one of the strategies that I use to be able to survive every day. Good cop, bad cop. In a gated community in Miramar, Florida, the police cruisers arrive in a bright burst of headlights surrounding a pickup truck, and the crowd stands in amazement on the sidewalk and unruly lawn in front of Building 7. And as a mother holds her daughter against her heart, the little girl fusses, impatient, wants to run toward the men in uniform. The little girl waves, and the police wave back. One officer helps Santa Claus down the truck as Jingle Bells continues playing, and Santa hands a wrapped gift to the child. She's bewildered. The lights, the laughter, the Christmas tunes. Santa is here, Santa is here. At Miramar PD is here. Give a toy, get a toy. The cops brought their daughters dressed as elves, their sons in firefighter costumes, and the little ones emerged from the back seats to smile in a picture with my niece. I think about good cops, bad cops. Maybe their polite exterior is like a penny's thin copper jacket. Maybe underneath, the officers are really coarse-grained and wild. No, those are not men we fear. They are fathers, they are neighbors, they are holidays buddies. The air feels mild, and there aren't too many of those stealthy Florida mosquitoes with their uncanny ability to zero in on the tender backs of our arms. Everything is fine, nothing is gone. I do not think of bullet holes, and my back is not unsure of its bent. I do not think of the killings of Black fathers and Black sons. Somewhere in Texas, a cop will not return home. An eye for an eye. Take a life, lose a life. Good cop, bad cop. I think of little girls dressed as elves, of little boys turned into firefighters. A father will not return home. Thank you.
Oh, MJ, thank you. You have to take a look at the chat when you get a moment, because people are saying just how beautiful, and oh, I agree. Thank you. You know, I love that you're already just open the conversation, right, to this bigger perspective. And well, was there anything else you wanted to share about those particular writings?
Just that writing has always been a lifesaver emotionally, because I do suffer from depression, and it's something that I have to manage every day just to have a normal life. And I do talk about it a little bit more in Happy Okay, the book that I mentioned earlier. But of course, in addition to having to manage my depression, I also have to manage the fact that the world is not always a just world. And a lot of people are in the same situation, whether you are Black today in America, whether you're a minority or you're an ally, the situation is just heartbreaking and brings a lot of stress. So writing has helped, keeping to a routine has helped. And I love what Alan said earlier about reaching out to other people, not just when you're feeling down, but also when you think that they might be feeling down. I think that being that listening ear really helps your own well-being. So it's a two-way street. So thank you so much also for this event, because it's such a great way to share my work and open up.
Well, and you know, MJ, what was just occurring to me, because you've said a couple times how writing is one of the ways you cope. And each time you said that, what I thought is how healing it is to hear people read, but in particularly, of course, these poems at this moment in time. I've been talking to so many people right now about just this feeling of this general, like, not knowing, not even knowing where to turn or how to feel. And I feel as if the writing, when we hear it, is also a place where we could just feel things. And to me, that seems so important right now, you know? And I'd just love to see, does anybody else have any thoughts about, you know, what it is to hear such powerful words right now?
I'd like to say a couple of things. First, MJ, that was truly beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
It
Alan.
really touched me. And one of the things I've been going through is looking at this, an opportunity for me to look at what are the prejudices in my life. And I started examining that yesterday, and I realized any prejudice I have to Black people stems way back to my first grade, that far back. And I remember I had this beautiful pencil case that I brought to school. Seems silly now, but this beautiful pencil case. And one day the pencil case was gone. I don't know what happened to it, it was gone. And about a week later, this other student, a little Black girl, another in my class, had that exact pencil case. And I knew she stole it from me. And I confronted her and, no, my mother, you know, went and I really liked that case. My mother bought me one. And I really was really angry and upset with her. And somehow has carried that prejudice. Because she was Black, I carried that prejudice that Black people steal. And I'm not very proud of that. And I'm not sure what to do with that, except from now on realize where that prejudice comes from. And that I don't really need to carry that around. It's almost ludicrous that I still carry that around with me. So what I realize is that this very negative time is at least opened up, and maybe it's an opportunity for all of us to open up and look at where is our prejudice, where does it come from, how could we stop it? How can we realize that even, you know, maybe it stems from events so long ago that it's ridiculous to carry that around, and just start letting go of it. And I think poems like yours, MJ, and other readings and writings, and realizing all of the beautiful people who are not like me, who are in my life, and how much I love them, and would feel terribly hurt if they were harmed. And so, and angry. And realize it's a difficult time for all of us, and maybe it's an opportunity for all of us to look at our prejudice.
Mm. Thank you, Alan. Thanks for, having the courage to talk about that. That's a really important thing for us all to look at. I know a lot of my own mentors have been talking about the same thing, about this, if we can use this as an opportunity to really reflect on our own, prejudices and where, places that maybe we haven't been seeing in ourselves. Like, I do believe that change is possible. I do. And I think it's one of the reasons that I'm so drawn to authors and writers, because I feel as if when, like, MJ just read these poems, and I mean, even though we're on Zoom, I felt like I could feel everybody's feeling of that. It does change us. Brenda.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I thought that change has already begun because yesterday there were elections and the white supremacist Steve King lost his place as in the House of Representatives. And then Ferguson, which is where Black Lives Matter was born, got its first African-American female mayor. And so I feel like the voices are being heard. Like, I mean, those are two significant changes, and I hope that it's many, many more, and that many, like Alan said, and many minds are being opened. And I think, people, voices like MJ, many hearts are being opened. So when you've opened hearts and minds, things are going to happen.
Oh, I love that, Brenda. I love that you put that together, that it is both. And I think that is, again, I know I always sound like I'm selling mango, but like when I saw yesterday that you put up the banner with, some of the books that, that you're recommending for people right now during this time, like I felt so proud to be a part of this publishing house, that you're willing to take a stand as a publishing house. Rachel, are you? Yeah, I thought I saw your hand.
Well, and to go on a lot of what Brenda just said, what I love seeing too, the changes I like seeing is the police walking with their communities, in support of their communities, in support of justice, and speaking out against other police officers that are making those choices. Because I honestly, and what keeps coming in my mind over and over and over, we walk together, we rise together, we walk together, we unite, we stand, we rise together. When we do that, anytime there's a physical barricade, it creates the emotional barricade. And you have so many, if two people are operating in fight or flight against each other, that's just a recipe for disaster. And so when you're walking together and it diffuses that and opens the door, and you start talking and asking that question of, what I want to hear you, opening it up enough to hear that and to actually make changes. I really, those are the things I'm really trying to focus on right now. Is those are the future leaders I want. Is the people that are, there was a guy in the protest I saw a video of a guy with a free hugs t-shirt on, and he was hugging everybody, both his fellow Black protest members and the cops, and people were yelling at him. But he was explaining why. And I think that's so important, is to see, because when we get into that all thinking of all cops, all whites, all Blacks, it's so dangerous, because we lose our humanity in that. We don't see the humans. We don't see their pain. We don't see their story. We just see all. And so I love when we can peacefully break down those barriers, by seeing that and representing that. And I believe that, for me, I love when I see things that people are representing what they stand for. They're representing what they want to see. And I just think that's like, to me, that's what's helping me even make any kind of sense, is maybe this will open those doors for those people and those leaders to rise now. you know, the more people, the more times we share those leaders, you know, and that's my hope. Sorry. I'm very emotional about this whole thing.
Thank you, Rachel. No, don't apologize. No. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, and MJ, those poems just went straight to my heart. So thank you. Thank you for sharing those.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
And Alan, your book is getting one of my friends, their book on loss is getting one of my friends through one of the toughest times in her life. Thanks to Brenda for sharing that title with us, because her son was murdered. And it's your book that she keeps sharing, like, of how it's helping, and she keeps sending me passages and showing how they're helping her. So I'm so grateful for your writing.
Oh, thank you, Rachel. You know, us authors, we sit alone for, I don't know, I just finished the next book and it took 5 months, and we sit alone with our computer for 5 months. I know I wrote from 9 to at least 5 every day, and then came back at night sometimes. And sometimes I question, why am I doing this? And then I hear the one, like Rachel just said, that one person the book is helping. And she's not the only one. I've heard from others, and that's why I'm a writer. I know that, and I think probably other writers too, because we want to help people. And even if it just helps one or, you know, a couple of people, all of those 5 months of writing was worth it. So thank you, Rachel. But the other thing is, we don't hear that a lot. You know, I do get emails and I get letters sometimes, but in fact, I have some beautiful heart letters from people of how the book has changed their life. But sometimes I forget it. And so I'm grateful for Rachel that you shared that. Appreciate it.
Alan, I feel compelled to ask you if there's something in your grief and loss book that you might feel like reading to us. Is there a passage that, I don't want to put you on the spot, but...
Well, there's always, you know, what I like to do when I'm with any book, not only mine, is just open it up and see what we get.
I
Because
love that.
to me, that's the message. So this is a part about keeping your loved one alive. And, this is perfect. So I always start, I love quotations, so I always have a few in each chapter. So this one is a Jewish saying which says, when we die 3 times. First, when our brain ceases to function. Second, when our heart stops beating. Third, when our name is no longer spoken in the world. So for me, it's like, right now we're keeping, all of us are keeping someone alive by speaking his name, and hopefully his death is changing the world. So, you know, then the chapter goes on. I won't read all that, but it's just so true. I remember when my wife died, my daughter was 10 years old, and we would always talk about my wife. It's like, if we didn't know what to do, we'd go, what would Ellen do? Ellen was my wife. And, you know, what would your mother do at this time? Or if we had some really great experience, you know, oh, Ellen would love this. So we'd always keep her name alive. And it was unconscious. We just did it. Because I think we're just the body, and our spirit is what never dies. And the more we can talk about a person we loved and what they meant to us, what they brought to us, and be thankful for what they brought to us, the more they're kept alive. And the body is only the shell that the spirit's in. It's what I believe. So we can all keep spirit alive by keeping the person's spirit alive, by honoring them, by talking about them, and honoring what they meant to us in our life.
Alan, I'm so struck by how that was just the most perfect thing, that it was sort of such a companion to MJ's poem, right? With the names and remembering the names. It's so moving how that just happened. And as you know, like my work is around expressing our love, and I do something called the love list, which people make, a list of reasons why they love someone. And I hold a workshop that's called Love Never Dies, where we make them for people who have passed away. And it's exactly what you're talking about, which is that it's so beautiful to me, and especially in a group setting, for people to share all the things that they love. And I like to keep love present tense, because I do really believe it's always present tense. And, sharing what people love about these people who may not be here in physical form, but are still so very much alive in people's hearts. And I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, I have a friend, Janet Gallen, who writes a column and also teaches workshops where she has people write love letters to either people who are alive or people who are deceased.
Yeah.
And I've taken one of those workshops, and it's really powerful when you're writing a love letter to someone you loved who is no longer here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'm curious if anybody else had anything that's come up that you want to bring into the conversation, or questions for our authors. Marlena, I think you're still muted though. Yeah, there you go.
Now I'm unmuted. I just wanted to say, MJ and Ellen, both of you, I've been to a number of these, but this is one of the most moving ones that I've experienced of this group. And thank you both so much for what you shared.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is interesting, little backstage chatter, but before we went on the air, Sherry said or asked us, do we feel comfortable talking about current day things that are happening? And we all say yes, but we didn't know exactly where it would go, or what would be said, or what we would say. And Sherry, look what happened.
I know.
It's taken over most of the hour, because it was needed, and it was where we were guided, what we were guided to do at this moment. It was, and that's, the older I get, the more I realize is not to plan so much, because the universe, whatever you want to call it, the energy is going to tell you where to go at the moment. And that's what we need to pay attention to. So
Yeah.
thank you, Marlena, for your comments. Appreciate it.
And thank you for being here. I love seeing you every week. And I know there are others here too who have been more than one. It really means so much, and I don't say that lightly. This is, as I said earlier, it's such a resting place to be here. And when we see familiar faces, and it feels, I was saying this to another group, I have a coaching group last night that I was saying, it's almost like a life raft. And this feels that same way to me. Like we just all get aboard, and it's just like floating together in a safe little space for a while. Yeah.
I wanted to mention the last time that Alan was presenting, he mentioned those letters that he's been writing, and it's something that I tried. I mean, I knew about the powerful, the power of writing letters of gratitude, letters, whether you're addressing them to people who are currently in your life, or people who have passed away. And I have to say, Alan, it really encouraged me to start writing those letters again. And it's one of those strategies that I've been using to cope, just being able to write to people I know care about me, then if they never get to see those letters, or people who were in my life who are no longer in my life, but cared about me. And that mix of gratitude and being able to open up to something familiar, to someone who is familiar, has really helped. So I wanted to thank you personally for your insight last time.
Thank you, MJ. And for those that were not on the call or the whatever we're on Facebook Live, what I did a year or so ago was I started January 1st, and I thought every day of the year, 365 days, I will either send a letter or an email, or those are the two things I really use, to somebody who has been in my life or is in my life, thanking them for being in my life and all that they have contributed towards it, all the wonderful things they contributed towards it. And the couple of amazing things happened. One was, I thought, it was getting October, November, and I thought, oh, I'm going to run out of people. Then what am I going to do? I promised myself I would do this every day. And it was so interesting because every day I would write and I would think of, oh, here's another connection, or someone else from 10 years ago that helped me with this, or, did this for me, or we had a great together dinner or lunch or whatever it was, heartfelt connection. And I need to write to them. So I never ran out. In fact, at the end of the year, I had more people than I actually days in the year. And the other thing that happened is I was just writing to express my gratitude to all the wonderful people that I've encountered in my life. And I would get back emails or letters from people saying things like, how did you know I was really down today and I really needed those words? Or, I haven't been doing well lately, or, I've been meaning to tell you what you meant in my life. It was just a wonderful experience that every day of the year for me, thinking about those people and how many there were. And all the wonderful, some got me into college, some, I used to be a scenic designer, and how he helped me get into Yale Drama School. And he was I found out he was in a nursing home. And so I got the address and sent him one of those letters. And in arts and crafts, he sent me back this sweet little, thing he made, and thanking me for sending that. It was very touching. It was very moving. So, MJ, thank you for bringing that up. Oh, and the other thing is I was just reading, I don't know if it's this month or last month, Reader's Digest. And I haven't read the article, but there was a whole article about writing letters for 365 days. And I've got to go, I should have written the article. Someone else did it too, so I have to go back and read it. I didn't have time to read it, but I cut it out and I will read it.
And the thing about a strategy like this, you hear about it and you're like, oh, okay, I guess maybe it works. But once you really start focusing on it, really applying it, it's so powerful and it's so life-changing that you realize that I should do this every day. It sounds so simple when you talk about it, Alan, but really when you start writing those letters, I mean, the results are amazing. You really feel better about yourself. Life becomes so much more bearable, and gratitude does have that immense impact on your everyday life. I mean, it's really awesome.
And the other thing is, some people say, well, I don't have time to sit down and write a whole letter. Well, some days I cheated. I had a stock email, but I would fill in a whole paragraph of what that person meant. I worked around what I had and just fill in real specific, just for them, what they did in my life and how grateful I was. So it didn't take a lot of time some days. It took 5 minutes maybe. Send it off, and it's truly a powerful exercise that is easy to do and extremely rewarding. And it was just like a review of my life too, of what I've been through and the help that I've gotten from other people and my love for other people and wanting to lift their life up a bit.
Wow. So beautiful. I know I probably said this last time too, that I am a huge letter writing fan, and I write many, 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 many letters. And it is like what MJ said, you know, I'm always with my coaching clients too. It's like something that, it's like one of those things that, you know, yeah. Just like you said, MJ, it's like, yeah, that's great. But it really is life-changing. It really is. And I love that you two started this conversation and brought that in, because, you know, we are talking about this whole picture of where we are in the moment. And it is true, reaching out to other people, staying really connected is one of the ways that we all get through this together. We get through it together.
Exactly, yes.
Rachel. Oh, yeah.
One of the things I've noted, like with letter writing, I do that a lot. And when I'm feeling the anger and rage, to me, that's a really important time to write the letter, because anger and rage can, you know, the way it manifests in your body, the way it sticks into places that you don't want it to stick and creates dis-ease in your body. And I've always been very committed to not letting those things take me over. And so one of the things that I do, and, you know, I write, you know, I have a Facebook page called From a Loving Place, where it's all motivational stuff. And I have to always think of, and when I'm in these dark times, I have to always think of, okay, how do I come from a loving place? And then, you know, lately I've been triggered by, okay, I'm very angry. So trying to come from that place when you're angry. And I'm like, okay, so I have to release it. And the letters, writing letters, and then and letting the anger out in the letters, writing all the things out, and then doing a process of forgiveness in the letters, and then burning them, and with a prayer to the universe, has really helped me stay grounded, so that I can still feel like I authentically am coming from a loving place, because I didn't want that underlying rage to be seeping out, you know? So that was really important to me, and it's helped me through this, is really naming it and calling it out and writing letters. And, you know, I can write letters to who I'm mad at, or just the overall injustice, you know, and all of that. But it is probably what is saving me from feeling so bogged down by it. So to me, letters changed my life personally. So I use them any chance I can get.
I love that. And your book, of course, is Letters to a Better Me, right? Did I get that right?
From a Better Me. Yep.
From a Better Me. Yes, that's right. So yeah, thank you, Rachel, for that. I love where this is all, you know, and it's interesting. So one of the things that's coming up for me, that one of my own practices is, I used to get really depressed on my birthday, and that was old stuff from my childhood. And when I was turning 48, I had this idea drop in that I would send 48 letters to 48 strangers in 48 days. And that just completely transformed my life. I just put it out to my community, my Simply Celebrate community, and asked if people knew somebody who was sad or grieving. And I've done it every year since, which is, I'll be 56 this year, so it's been many years now. And I stretched it out to days. So now I do it in 56 days, 57 days. But the thing is that it has completely transformed my life in the way of writing to strangers. Taught me that the love I have is boundless, you know, and that I completely fell in love with every one of those people. Every year I do when I'm writing those letters. And it's a way, and I think we've all been sort of pointing to this, that in that giving of love, we're always the first recipient. We're always the first recipient. And for me, like Rachel, that sort of touched in when you were talking about that, because I realized that it was a way for me to be with grief in a regular sort of way, you know, to daily be writing to people who are grieving and lonely and feeling disappointed and lost. It connected to those places in me and sort of got them to, I get to feel it, which is important. And I think that's kind of what you're pointing to.
I agree. I mean, yeah, because it is. It's and when we suppress feelings, it's not good for us. So it's good to feel them through.
We still have, I think, about 3 or 4 minutes left. I'm just wondering, is there anything that is there for anybody who's here? Anything you just want to bring into the conversation or ask our authors in our last few minutes?
I have something happened yesterday. I had my first Zoom doctor's appointment.
Oh.
Which was interesting. You know, the doctor's there and I'm by the screen, which is kind of funny, you know, says stick out your tongue and come close, I want to look at your eyes. It was kind of funny, but we started to get into a conversation about all the change that particularly the virus has happened or going to happen, you know, happening, but probably will continue, like Zoom doctor's visits. And I didn't realize this, but he pointed out, he has a lot of elderly patients. And he says, you know, previous to this, people had to, you know, they had to get dressed, they had to be put in a wheelchair, wheeled into his office. He examines them, you know, maybe they go home and tires them out, they've got to rest. And he said with the Zoom, he can just visit with them and they're still in their house and they don't have to go through all this effort and it's not a strain on them. And often they do not have to come into the office, which was a problem. Sometimes they had to get a ride, which was a problem. I remember my mother-in-law lived way out on the avenues and no taxis would want to come and get her when she had to go to the doctor. So the changes that are happening, probably a lot of them are going to continue and for the better. And I think we have to maybe open to that and realize that. The other funny thing, he was talking about how we can see people's homes, like you can see behind me. And I love that because I love Broadway shows and there's a lot of streaming plays and shows on the internet now. And I could see people's, I can sneak and look into their houses. And some of the big celebrities that I've loved for years, I go, God, that's such tacky taste. You know? So I kind of get a laugh from that. But just realize all the changes that we're going through that may continue.
Brenda, did you want to add to that?
Oops. Okay. What I wanted to suggest is that we do what we did last time, which was where we close out and everybody that wants to participate. And I think actually every single person participated last week. So I can start the closeout of the circle.
Brenda, I love that.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that white supremacist king losing his seat is the beginning of all white supremacists in politics in America getting kicked out in November, including the #1. And I also I also hope and intend that we all like sort of have a higher consciousness. I think that maybe, you know, things were going during the Obama years, life was sweet, or at least that's how I remember it. And we've had a rude awakening, but maybe we needed like to reawaken and have a higher consciousness and awareness of like other people and how other people live and be more connected. So I intend that like that only grows and grows and grows. And I will hand off to Robin.
Put me on the spot, will you?
Yeah, you and your bicycle.
Goodness. I guess I have a lot of intentions that are floating around in my mind right now, but one of them is just for me personally to be able to dialogue more with my privilege and the way that I'm able to move through the world, and turn that not just into something that is self-reflective, but something that is active and can help people who are not in that position of privilege that I am. So I guess that's my intention for today.
Beautiful. And then you hand off to the next person.
Oh goodness. Rachel.
You're muted, Rachel.
Okay. My intention would be the awareness come to what and justice for all means and what that represents, and how when we look into our inner lives and see where we represent and don't represent injustice for all, and that we awaken to that so that we can grow, so that we can open, get those communications to see, and so to start working together more. I will pass to Alan.
So my intention is that all that is happening right now in the world helps us to be more compassionate towards others and have more respect for everyone else in the world. And I will pass to Molina.
So higher consciousness, am I muted? No, I'm not. Higher consciousness is what Brenda used as the words that were coming to my mind. I think it's to take to heart for myself personally the words that President Obama ended his tweet with on the 29th, I guess it was. It falls on all of us, regardless of our race or station, to work together to create a new normal in which the legacy of bigotry and unequal treatment no longer infects our institutions. But for me, the most important were his last three words, or our hearts. Oh, I'm supposed to call on someone else. Who has not spoken? Is Christopher, are you there? He's not even there. MJ.
No, he's there.
Oh, there. Christopher?
Yo, Christopher. He stepped away. MJ, you're on.
Well, I'm hoping that the darkness doesn't let me or anyone else forget the beauty that does exist in the world, but at the same time that we're not so blinded by the beauty that might exist in our own world that we forget about the darkness that might exist for others. And I'm passing the
MJ, I can take it now.
Yes.
Sorry. I have a terrible headset and I'm competing with my wife here. I want to make sure that she can do her job, but no, please don't take offense. No, as a student of history, I feel like when you look at major crises, there's usually so much opportunity for change and truly lasting change, not just words. And I guess I really hope that coming out of this difficult period, we see lasting change in the form of listening and being more open to each other, and backing that up with legislation that institutionalizes that change.
Thank you, Christopher.
Oh dear. I guess I'll pick on Yadira.
I thought you would. Can you hear me? Someone's suddenly mowing the lawn right outside my window.
Yeah.
You sound great.
So I wanted to thank the authors for what they've both said, because a lot has resonated with me, and what Christopher said. My dad is biracial and had to live through Jim Crow Miami and Jim Crow New York. And so this week has been incredibly rough for me. And the thing that I didn't know I was doing this consciously, but the thing that I started doing was reaching out to my coworkers, not necessarily to tell them where I was coming from, but to kind of, somehow it made me more sensitive to wherever they were in their day, and it made me want to listen to them. And I don't think of myself as a good listener, but I was told that I was helpful each and every single time, and it really, I found it very uplifting to be able to do that. And so I definitely, the idea of just being more aware of others and listening is something that I do want to carry through as much as I can. Out of all of this. And I would like to, let me see who hasn't, I would like to pick Marie.
Hi, thank you, Yadira. Thank you, Alan, and thank you, MJ. What you said really touched me. As you were talking, MJ, I was thinking about a moment where you said something that might have been so, to other people, so ordinary, but for me, it really clicked, and it was a pivotal moment for me. We were sitting in a parking garage, and I was showing you my secret parking spot on Miami Beach, which I will not divulge here. And you said to me, Ketsia, it's going to be okay about this catastrophe I had experienced. And the way you said it, it automatically, it was like, somebody ringing a bell. And so, as both of you were talking, I was thinking about, how I can let my hurt be an excuse to hurt others. Talk about, recognizing the external darkness and struggles others are feeling, and Christopher talking about lasting change, and that's something I want. And in order for that to happen, I must absolutely go inside myself and not let that hurt others, because it's going to be okay, like you said to me. And I'm going to pass it to, is there anyone left? I don't think so.
I think, Liz Marie, do you want to speak? Thank you, Marie. That was beautiful.
Then Liz Marie.
This was the first heart wisdom panel I've gone to. I really enjoyed it. Everything both authors said and Sherry, I really enjoyed it. And just hearing the poems out loud from the person who writes them is so powerful, and you just feel it a lot more than just reading it on a page. For myself, I just want to continue to educate myself and just be aware of the people in my life, because it does start in the home. So if you see something that's like inaccurate or hurtful, like to correct them kindly, but just to be aware of that. And just to continue to educate myself, because we are all constantly evolving and learning. So I just hope that we just continue to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Did everybody have a chance? I think so. My intention as we close up, first and foremost, is just my deepest appreciation to all of you. And I feel as if, every week I put out the replay for these panels, and I feel particularly compelled with this one to do whatever I can. And I guess I'm imploring all of you to share this. you know, to share this. I just feel as if it, you know, so many beautiful and important things were shared, and to have everyone experience MJ reading those poems to begin with, and then everything that came after. So I think that's my intention, is that many more people be able to have this kind of experience that we're having, this kind of heart opening and mind expanding conversation with just beautiful, loving people. So I thank you so much for being here. We are here every Wednesday at the same time, and different authors come each week, but it's always like Alan said too, it's just like, it's a mystery what's going to happen, but it's always beautiful. So, and a special thank you to Liz Marie, who really stepped in this week for Debbie to help us coordinate everything. Thank you, Liz Marie, for doing that. And to yes, and to Brenda and Robin, who are here from Mango Publishing, and MJ too, right, from Mango. So, and thank you to our authors, Alan and MJ. Hopefully we'll see you all again. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Tuesday. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.